All right, all right. I believe that we are live. I believe we are live. It is Friday. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you can hear me okay. If you could let me know in the chat before we get into this crazy show, inspiring show. Hopefully you can hear me okay. We had some problems the last time. Hello, Sparky OG. That's right, I'm here. I'm sorry I was running a little late today. Got so much stuff going on. Got so many things to talk about. Hope you can hear me okay. Let me know in the chat room. 08 Dragon is here, says we can begin. Hello, Lone South African Bear. Hello, Shorty Lizette. Loud and clear. Thank you, Robert Ellis. You win the prize. Robert is the reason you all get to see me today, because he let me know. So I know that you can hear me okay, and now that I know you can hear me okay, let me lower this volume a little bit. I don't like it being too loud for you. What happens next? I don't know. I don't know. I got no idea. I got no idea. I know that a lot of stuff's going on. I know that's for sure. You see over here, this is a, got a couple of things going on. We got right now, we have, got some protests going on in, along the border there. Israel's big lander beer sheet. Beer sheet. It's in orbit with the moon. And the big peace deal, Trump's peace deal. This big deal, the deal of the century, is coming down to the wire. Happening soon. The date is May 15th. They just released that information. That's very convenient. You're gonna find out why. A lot is going on around Israel. Now, why do I talk about Israel so much? It's because it's fascinating. Because actually what's going on there in a political sense is historic. What's going on in a worldly sense is historic. And the fact that it's happening right there in the natural, in the spiritual sense, because when I talk, it's funny, I get emails from people. They're all like, don't you know that the Israelites are not literal Israelis? People tell me this. I know. I know. I know. The God's chosen Israel is from all the corners, spread out all over the place. And there comes a time when they're all supposed to come home. Comes a time when they should have gotten their house in order and they should have been doing the right thing, so that that new day, what we're all waiting for, can happen. Now, there's a bunch of people in the world that are working together feverishly to try to bring this to pass by their means. And yet there's a passage in Scripture that says that the kingdom can't be taken by force anymore, that it used to be taken by force, but no longer. So as people try to take things by force in the world, we see happening naturally what we understand is spiritually the true kingdom is being revealed to us all. Okay, so what does this all mean? I don't know. We're going to get into it. The election. A dozen reasons why Netanyahu will win the election. Does anybody think that Netanyahu's not going to win? Anybody? Anybody? Sorry, I got to have some coffee because I have no idea what goes into this. There's so much stuff that goes into this, and the fact that I'm even here is almost a miracle. It's a lot goes on behind the scenes, and I'm not like Ben Shapiro. I don't got like 100 people working behind me. He was talking about that on Rogan's show. It's just me here, just me. Trying to fit in all this stuff, trying to figure all this stuff out, just because I'm fascinated with it, because I believe it's important. I don't know why I believe it's important. I just feel motivated to share it all with you. And because as I see these things playing out in the real world, if you're new to the channel, this is what I do. This is what I do. I look at stuff in the world and I somehow come to a spiritual significance to it. Like the fact that there's an election going on and they're saying that Netanyahu is going to win. As if he wouldn't, right? I mean, I think it would be a big swerve. It would be a big swerve if he didn't. It would be like when Trump got elected. That would be as shocking because that's the feeling. A lot more people in support of it, especially because there's a lot going on with this big deal that Trump has, just brought to the table. On the fact that he also said, hey, just take Golan Heights, it's yours. I've done a lot of shows on this. You should just go back and watch just the last couple of weeks if you're new to kind of catch up, because there's a lot. It's happening so quick and it's so monumentous that I had to go back and listen to a show that I did on the lander, because so much has happened and transpired, and it seems like it's all coming together into this one beautiful piece, which we can fit into that puzzle, the piece that we've been missing. But I still don't know what's next. You get what I'm saying? Maybe we're going to find out that together. Maybe in the comment section you can tell me. So, as the election's going on, and it's contested, right? A lot of people ask me why I named that one show, you know, Will the World Change, between April 1st and the 9th. In fact, it was April Fool's Day. 9th is the election. And in Israel, this, you know, depending on how this election goes, the world has already changed. It's changed in such a way that it's almost like you can pinpoint that one little place, the size of, what is it, like the size of Jersey? I don't think it's even Israel's that, it's not that big, right? But you can pinpoint that, like, that one place. That's all those little threads, they're all connected to that one little place. That's why it's important. That's why with this election, whatever the election brings, the world is going to change. And what they have planned next, this deal of the century that Trump is about to, on May 15th, is about to share with everybody. A couple of people leaked some information about that, and it's wacky. I mean, it's interesting. All right, so let's just take it piece by piece and break this down. Trump's peace plan is to grant Jordanian citizenship to 1 million Palestinian refugees. Get out! Get out! I mean, I don't know. It's not really the way it is. Let me tell you something. This deal, it sounds good for a lot of these countries, because we're talking a lot of money. It's like they're paying a lot of money to make this happen. Deal of the century. Mysterious. And no one really knows the details about this. And we also know that Jared Kushner's behind it. Yeah. And here's the connections with everybody. It's all around the, I mean, it's all crazy. You know, all the stuff that we've been talking about. I met someone, by the way. Someone came up to me at my gym. It freaked me out. And I hope you listen. It was nice to meet you, John. And, he's an older gentleman who works out at my gym. And he said, Nurse Prepper gave you a shout out on the show. And I was like, oh, that's great, because, you know, I've talked to him on the phone. He's a really nice guy. You know, Prepper Nurse. So he came over to me, starts talking to me. And he says, you know, with you, I don't know what I'm going to get. Turns out this guy has been like a, I guess like, I don't know, fan of the show. Hasn't, you know, been watching the show, but just not really saying much. I never really said anything to me at the gym. And I thought that was really nice. So the fact that that he's given me a shout out over there, I don't know if everybody knows his real name, but Prepper Nurse he's a nice guy. I've talked to him on the phone a couple of times. And I got to watch more of his stuff, because this is not a prepper channel. So, you know, you probably should know how to do that stuff. You know, I know a lot of people talk about it. I got an idea of what I'm going to do, you know, but this is not my calling. My calling is to get you all to go to the source, the one who can actually make the difference in your life, right? So, back to the show. Trump's peace plan. Grant citizenship to 1 million Palestinian refugees. That's pretty cool. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, it's pretty, you know, pretty cool for Israel. Probably not so cool for the people that live there. You know, I don't know. President Trump will push for Jordan to grant citizenship to 1 million Palestinian refugees as a part of his deal of the century. Supposedly, Trump's also supposed to gonna ask Egypt to grant citizenship to. There's been some talk that they were going to, you know, give some of the property, you know, to Sinai, to the Palestinians. There's been some talk. Egypt denies that it has any clue as to what's going on with this plan. I'm sure behind the scenes, I'm sure everybody's got an idea. But May 15th, it's a very set date. It's an interesting date. I hope you're still with me, because you have to stay till the end to see to get that little whack sucker punch and be like, oh my goodness, how does it all fit together so neatly and so interesting? It's like, oh yeah, I can't wait till the next show, because the days we're in are getting more and more interesting. I can't wait to see what's going to happen after this election. I can't wait to see what's going to happen after this peace plan is going through. Now, I have a feeling that it might actually happen. I don't know. I don't have any inside scoop, but man, would that be cool. Spiritually speaking, would that be cool? Peace plan, right? Would it be even more weird if it was like for 7 years? It's like that Daniel prophecy, you know? Yeah, it's another show, people. All right, President Trump will push for Jordan. So basically, these refugees, it's gonna move like 1 million of them. There's this confederation of 3 states that is kind of an option, where there'd be joint governments between Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority. And according to the report, Jordanian King Abdullah expressed opposition to it. Okay, so not on board. But let's take a look at how much money we're talking here. We're not talking little potatoes here. We're talking $110 billion in economic aid. That'll change a country. That'll change a direction. That'll get you benefited, right? That'll get you outfitted with the latest military equipment. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully we can see something else coming out of it. The absorption happens in stages, okay? So like Jordan's going to get 45 billion. The remainder is going to go to Egypt. 45 billion. Here's 45 billion. Here's 1 million refugees. We're going to make this a nice sweet deal. Everybody's going to be, it's going to bring the whole land of Israel back to Israel. That sounds pretty like they're, you know, the pastors and the, sounds pretty prophetic, as they say. Once again, not really interested in that. I'm more interested in, let's say that the natural Israel, let's say that, you know, that the Israelites were scattered through the land, which we know happened. Okay, so say that that was their land, and as the historical record shows, especially in the Old Testament, right, and the New Testament, they came in, kicked them out, put them into bondage, slavery over here, moved from place to place to place to place to place to place, all the way up to like the Holocaust. Dispersed them all over the place, right? Okay, now this is a picture of natural Israel, okay? So let's say that there is a spiritual Israel, okay? Let's say the fact that this has happened over so many years that you may not even know, unless you're doing like Ancestry.com, that you may be, you know, an Israelite yourself. You don't know. And I won't do Ancestry.com. I won't do that stuff. It's they probably already have my DNA, but I'm not going to willingly give it to them, if you know what I mean. So this, the fact that now you're seeing, it's like you think that all the Jews have returned to their home, but now their homeland, they're going to now get more and more and more, as was promised, so they say, right? So you see a lot of people working together to make this happen. And this peace plan does it. I mean, it gives them more territory. I think spiritually that would be great if we were to be granted more territory over our lives, where the enemies, and I'm not saying, just so you know, I'm not saying that the natural enemies of Israel are the enemies, that the bad guys. No, I'm just saying that let's picture that invaders or people that are coming against Israel. Let's say that that's spiritually significant, and let's say that it's a part of your life that has been attacked. You know, say you've had problems in your home, you've had problems in your work, you've had, you know, these little areas where the enemy has come in, and it's kind of put you into a small little, kind of boxed you in. And you keep trying to fight to expand your territory, you know, to expand the reach of your joyful, peaceful, spiritual life. And perhaps now's the time, you see? So as that's happening, you know, I don't want to come on here and say, yo, big war is going to happen. Because I don't know if a big war, I mean, I could see how something like this would, but I could also see how if we were truly in the end times, as they say, There's supposed to be peace. There's supposed to be this great peace that comes, and everybody's talking about, World War III. And I think we've been in it. I mean, according to the United Nations, we were in it for quite some time already. Perhaps it's time for us to come out of it. So if we were in these end days, you would think peace could be the way. So, of course, I'm naturally fascinated by Trump's peace plan because I wonder, is there a connection? This deal of the century. So as this deal of the century is going on, we're going to have 1 million Palestinians to settle in Jordan under this plan. It's a lot to take. I don't know if that's exactly what the plan is. I don't know if that's going to legitimately, be the deal with that. It may not be. But what I do know is that a spokesman said, no, it's a conspiracy. It's a big conspiracy against Arab countries. And yet a lot of Arab countries are they're pretty cool with it. They're pretty cool with this deal of the century that is going down. Now, how many of you in the chat room, follow this and see this as something significant? I know that there are a lot of you that are going to say, oh, it's definitely prophetic. And what that means is, if you really want to know what prophecy is not predicting the future, okay? But what it is it's the testimony of Christ. It's the declaration of the new day. That is what prophecy is. So if you're prophesying, what you're doing is you're giving a testimony of the truth. And so God, in the scriptures, it says that God, so that we were without an excuse, so we can't say, oh, we don't know what's going on, God. I say this a lot. I said, Lord, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm saying. Am I supposed to say this? What am I supposed to say? That's why I titled it, What's Next? I have an idea, but it's for me to share that with all of you. I mean, it's and what if you put a lot of stock in the things I say just because sometimes maybe it sounds like I get it right? I don't want people to put stock in me. I want people to educate themselves and see the truth for themselves by going to God, by going to there is more. If you don't think there is, go to any one of my videos at any point in time, and no matter what I'm talking about, whether it's astronomy, right, whether it's quantum physics, whether it's artificial, it's all linked right there in the spiritual world. So you know that there's something, right? We're all connected. We're all something. We exist. So why not? Especially in this day when so many people are miserable. Everybody's a slave, right? So that's the thing is the Israelites, they were slaves. They were slaves. Now, if you don't think that you're a slave, then you're wrong, because you are. So am I, to a certain extent, right? But I can be like Joseph when he was cast into prison. I can still rule the prison and be in charge of the prison. But we're not free, because we're not free to just creatively express ourselves, and there are limitations on us. And most of those limitations are right here. There's that gate, right? That thing that keeps us from entering into the holiest of holies and having that faith that's beyond understanding, where all things are possible. There's that thing that's that needs to be taken out of the way. There's that area where the enemies have come in and invaded, keeping us from our true potential, our true land. So while all this is happening in the earth, they also say that in the scriptures that there should be signs in the heavens, in the stars. And yeah, there are a lot going on. See, I'm going to remind you of, let me bring this over here for a second. I'm going to remind you of what's going on right now. Okay, let's see. Here's the deal of the century, okay? So as this is going on, we know that protests are actually happening right there in Gaza. Okay, now this is like up-to-date stuff, guys. If you could do me a favor, I'm in the chat right now. Let me know if everything's going okay. I like to make sure that I'm not, wasting a bunch of time. And do me a favor, while we're here paused on this picture, will you do me a favor? Will you go to, hit that like button for me? Will you? Will you do me a favor and hit that like button? It's so important. It's so helpful. And don't forget to share these videos around. I mean, this stuff, it takes a lot to do, right? But it's pointless if it gets to no one. If it gets to no one, what's the point? That's the whole thing. So everybody hears me okay. Okay, that's good. Keep going. Thank you, Leah. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. It's so funny. No one listens. A lot of people in the chat, they just sit there. Hosanna says the book of Joshua tells us a lot. Well, listen, Joshua is a picture of Christ, of course, and that's Jesus' name is Joshua. Yahshua, right? And yes, Anonymous, I say I am a Christian, but I mean, what does that mean? You know, in the grand scheme of things, what does that mean? I mean, it's, you know, what does it meant today? What does it mean today? Let me come on over here and say hi to everybody again. What does it mean today? Because I'll tell you one thing, I get so many emails from so many Christians, and they're hateful, and they're not endearing, they're not compassionate. See, here's the thing: if you're a teacher, if you're apt to teach, which most of us should just study to be silent, keep our mouths shut, right? But if you're a teacher, how do you teach? You teach people like you understand that they're children, and that you know a little better than them. So you can't. The best teacher is someone who's an encourager, right? Someone who waters the flower and lets sunlight in, right? Not someone that's constantly, you know, sure, sometimes you need a little correction. Sure, why not, right? But to be a true teacher, you must be patient. You must be long-suffering. You must be kind. Because, you know, I get emails now. I get emails now from people that are just like, I don't know, people that think that they know things. You know, and what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to, am I supposed to just respond and say, why are you so mean? That's what I usually do. So why are you being so mean? And these all do this in the name of Christ. And see, that's the thing, is that the scriptures say, they'll say that they're doing it for God when they persecute you. And yes, it is the day that we're in, but, you know, it doesn't mean that it has to continue to be. Let me pull up this next frame here. Okay, so the riots that are happening now, they say a lot, okay? So this is why the deal of the century is going down. It's going down so that there are no more riots. You know what I mean? There are no more riots. You know, they don't want this to continue on. We need peace, right? Isn't that what we're talking about? In the end, we're talking about peace, ultimately. That's what has to happen in the end. Maybe this false sense of security that falls upon us all. Do you all feel secure? You know, I don't feel that secure in the world right now. I don't feel like there's peace in the world right now. There has to be a time of peace, right? Now, there's this 1,000-year reign that is spoken of in Scripture. And I like to remind people that you can be in a reign and it's only revealed a little bit. It takes a little while. There's always a first stripe of fruit. If you plant something, you always get those first couple of crops. You got to wait till the full harvest for it to, you know, become manifest. So it may take a full 1,000 years for this world to become what it's meant to be. Now, I hope that that's not the case. Because when I see things like this on May the 15th, I think, well, why do they choose May the 15th? What would that be? You know, what is the deal with that date, right? So of course I try to find out, are there any moon things going on, anything astronomically speaking? And what I really found was it was a lot simpler than that. Take a look at the date that Israel was proclaimed, May 14th. Yeah, why don't you just soak that in for a second? May 14th. So now May 15th would be like the next day. And you'd have some years between the two, if you will. Some years. They just celebrated 70. They just celebrated 70 years. Yeah. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. Hang on a second. Let me pull this over here and let me show you. Trump, do you remember he recognized Jerusalem on the 70th anniversary? A lot of people are saying that was the 70 weeks, blah, 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 blah. Some people, yeah, I don't know what to say, but I do find it very significant. So Jerusalem is going to be Israel's capital. This was a big thing. This was last year. 71 years. In 71 years, that's when this all is going to go down. That's just I think that's very interesting. I mean, does anybody else, I'm going to come on over to the chat. Again, I like to say hi here to everybody. Anybody else here think that this is more than just coincidence? You think that perhaps there's more to it? That maybe this is sort of important? That maybe indeed something is going down? That perhaps we may start to actually see peace in the land? Josh Jennings says nothing is a coincidence. Maureen B says there are no coincidences. I love the caps. Myself says absolutely no such thing as coincidence. Chavez says you don't have to ask. Anna Kakan, no such thing as coincidence. No such thing as coincidence. Celestial Piper says this is orchestrated. My goodness. Look at how many like-minded individuals. Look at what... See, I know some people maybe don't even believe in God. That's okay. So let's just say, look at what the source of everything brought together. Right now, like 600 people, all of us, right here, watching. And a lot of you not liking. That's okay. You can come back. You can come back. You can like. You can like. Do me a favor, will you? Please. So 70 years, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Now, here's the thing. If you remember correctly, just a little while ago, Netanyahu said, this is not just a nation for everybody. This is a nation state. This is a Jewish nation state. You hear me? Don't think that just because you've lived here and your grandparents and your parents have lived here that this... Don't think this is not your home. Sure, you can get the rights that we're going to give you, but this is a Jewish country. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's like fighting words, right? That sounds a lot like this is a Muslim country, right? And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. But this made a lot of people say, whoa. A lot of people screaming apartheid. But it was a defining moment. A defining moment. A lot of defining moments. We have all of these defining moments. All of these things happening in our lifetime. It says that in these end days that knowledge will be increased. When have you ever had access to more knowledge? When have you seen children that are truly respectful of their parents? It's the day that we're in. The day that we're in. Where everyone is just so incredibly confused. And, you know, I'm like one of those, I guess you could say, like, I'm a sincere guy. Like, I believe in this stuff, right? So I feel like this has been my purpose. My whole life has been my purpose. So I've been doing videos. I didn't just come on here. I got on here right when I was supposed to. I had my website before that. I've been doing this for a long time because I believe. And do I believe that I have all the answers? What's next? I don't know what's next. I don't have the answers. A lot of you email me. You have the answers. Tell me what I like to try to give. If I think, like, what should I say? You know, and I respond to a lot of you because I do love you all. I don't know you, but I love you because you're here listening to me. There's a community to that, and that's why I feel like it's not just my responsibility to come here when I'm tired and I'm in pain and I got a lot of things going on. And my son he was just taken away in an ambulance. Noah, I got a call at work. I had to leave work. It's funny how they're like, oh, find somebody to cover. No, I left. And my son, ambulance, picked him up, rushed him to the ER. On the way, we're going to know what this is. Like, we're hoping it was just something simple. And it is. Turned out to be something simple. He has this Wolff Parkinson white. He There's an extra pathway in his heart because he's so awesome that the electrical current goes. And so he's had this his whole life, and it explains a lot. And so now we see this as a blessing. He's wearing a heart monitor right now, and he's got to go in for a heart procedure where they go in there, and 95% of the time it's like, right? So I got all these things in my own life. I don't know why I just started talking about my beautiful son. I have 4 of them, not 4. I have 3 boys, 1 girl. But so there's a lot going on, and I still feel like I find a way to come on here because I think that if I share enough of this stuff, you'll actually do that thing that I've been asking for a long time, which is, just ask. I say, teach me the truth no matter what the cost, right? I say that because that's what I prayed years and years and years ago. I've been baptized, like 50 times. I used to baptize myself because it was never good enough, right? Said all the things that they told you to say. It's never good enough. I had to say it again and again and again. Rededicating. I just want people to see. I want them to know. I want them to know God, and I want them to know Christ. I want them to know the power and wisdom of God, and I want them to know that as this is happening in the natural world, and naturally it doesn't look that great, and I don't think it's that great, but spiritually speaking, if that's significant to us spiritually, I wouldn't mind a little bit of peace, in my heart while the world's falling apart. So we may see this. We may see this because this is, the fact that they were declared this nation state. This is a big deal. This is a big deal with these riots that's going on right now. This is all a very big deal. You know what else is a big deal? Is the fact that let's go to space now, okay? Right now, their lunar spacecraft, by the way, is in orbit around the moon. They're the 7th country. 7th country. 70 weeks. 7 years. 71 years. When that peace deal's, it's right on the table. May 15th. 70 years. May 15th would be the beginning of the 71st. 71st. After that Jubilee, that's when it's supposed to start. Wouldn't that be great? I don't know the ins and outs of the Hebrew calendar, but I know that the year that we're in right now, they believe, right? They believe that their Moshiach is going to be revealed. And as this is happening, the beer sheet craft, it's going around the moon right now, right? This tiny robotic spacecraft from Israel. Okay, so now it is in orbit around the moon in a critical maneuver that sets the vehicle up for its landing, which it will land, by the way, I think they're saying on April 11th. I think April 11th is the big day for that. Let me see here. Pretty much, yeah. So I don't know if you remember, but they sent something pretty interesting in that to plant on the moon. They sent like 30 million pages, like the equivalent of information in human history. It's called the Civilization Backup Plan. That's what they're sending to the moon. It's like I guess, I don't know if it's on like some kind of a disk that can't be destroyed by meteorites and mini meteorites and all that, but it's a backup plan. So human history continues so that we live on. I did a show about this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. This is it right here. For the survival of our species. Nova Spizak, the co-founder of the ARC mission. The ARC, which would be important. You got to get into the ARC, right? Well, the ARC, symbolically, I think, is on dry land now. It's time to, possess the land. You get me? Now it's time to possess the land. What is Israel doing? What do they just do in the natural? They just possessed the Golan Heights. And are they about to possess more? Spiritually speaking, not just that, but planting their flag also in the heavens. Interesting time we are in, people. The 30 million page library has blasted off to the moon as a civilization backup plan. Of course, that this was like Tesla's first private deal. Tesla did this It's like their first deal. Let me see. Now, you remember Tesla? Now, there's some Tesla. Remember he sent up the Roadster? I talked about this in previous shows. Wanted to point this out too, because they sent up this backup plan for if civilization ever goes kaput, that it's there on the moon. I don't know. Could you imagine who's going to be able to find it? But, I guess, I don't know. Elon Musk sent some stuff into space. He sent his Tesla Roadster. Remember that? Remember the picture of the astronaut right in the thing? Okay. So his hidden message. You want to know what that was? Yeah, it was about the fall of civilization. Talked about that too. If you look at this in the cover, see that? Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy. That was in that. It's about the downfall and it's basically what they're doing. There's a plan for a restart. There's a plan for a restart. I haven't read the books. I haven't read the trilogy, but it's just interesting. All these things coming together. All these things coming together, and it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if what comes next. Like what else is going to happen around this day? I mean, May 15th being 71 years. That's a big deal. The 71st year. So, I don't know. I just feel like it's time for us to really start to take this stuff seriously. Thank you in the super chat, Eastern E. Thank you, Rachel. Is that Rachel Hager? Have you researched the daughter of Zion in the Bible? Mentioned many times, your mind will be blown. I'm going to have to. But I know that the daughter of Zion, I can tell you who I know the daughter of Zion to be. I'm not sure exactly what is going to blow my mind about that is because see I got to tell you honestly, a lot of these teachers, a lot of the people, they limit it to a literal individual. I don't know if you've noticed, you probably have, but when I do shows like is Jared Kushner the Antichrist, right? It's really to tell you how it's symbolically being played out so you can see that figure. It's almost like there's an allegory played out before you, right? But the Antichrist is not, I mean, maybe there'll be that literal character, right? Once that temple is built, that guy's going to stand in that temple. Look, that temple could literally be built. They're talking about it, right? They already dedicated the altar. They already looked at the plans. Pompeo looked at the plans. They oversaw the whole thing. Gonna move things in. They didn't include other things that's there. More taking the land in 71st year, I guess. It's fascinating, right? It's fascinating. It could happen, and it could happen within 7 years. In 3.5 years' time, there's this belief that there'll be the 7-year peace deal, and in that time they'll start to sacrifice again the red heifer, right? So in this temple will have to be built, then the sacrifice will have to happen, and but then like halfway through this covenant, if you will, it's broken and they cause the sacrifice to cease. Now you could spin this out in your head in the natural and turn it into a movie and say, okay, Trump's going to build that temple. Jared Kushner could be behind it. Who knows who could be who, but you could see somebody going in. I mean, look, you could even, and I'm not saying that this is the case because I just think it's funny, but couldn't you see Trump going, yeah, I'm pretty great. I did this. I'm pretty good. Kind of like God, a little bit. Sounded like Robert De Niro. No, I'm not saying Trump is, but you could see it, right? You could see any man stand up and do that. And right now, he's the as they say, a lot of people are making him out to be that Moshiach. A lot of people. Other people say it's Kushner. Other people say it's other people, right? I'm saying that it's just, whoever you see it to be, it's just a story. The truth is a lot more interesting. So you should seek it. And not just listen to whatever YouTuber says or whatever Bible teacher says or whatever, wackadoo on the corner says. I just put myself in the wackadoo category. All right. So 71 years, the deal of the century. How many people, I want to know this, how many people think it's going to happen? Peace deal is going to happen. It's going to be worked out, maybe with some revisions. That it's going to happen. It's going to go down. How many people think that things around the world may get really, really bad really, really quickly, and then just everything's cool, and then there's that span of peace? How many people think that temple could be built? How many think that that sacrifice could start and then stop? How many people think that it could happen? It could happen. It could happen. It is happening. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's already happening. So I don't know how anybody could look at this and not think that that what's next is going to be pretty interesting. I don't know. Solai says that believes it's happening. Chavez says it's happening. Kat says yes. Kimberly says it could happen if more people wake up. Well, that's why you need to share it around. Let me come on over here and say it again. That's why you need to share my videos around. I don't ask for much. Look, I don't get on here and I don't talk to you all about Patreon. I have other things, right? I even have, like, I'm not even going to say it because I got to get it with a new publisher. I have, you know, but the best way to help me is to just simply like it, comment it. Don't be one of those. I get a lot of these comments and I love them. I've been watching you for 2 years. This is my very first comment. Why? When it helps, you know? Why? Just, it helps. That's the way you got to look at it. You know, the more people that this channel can reach, if it's a good service, and if it's helping people to know that they are more, because this whole program, well, a lot of people are going to get you all scared, right? Okay, and not a bad thing to be concerned about things in the future, to be ready. Just I'm not that channel. I'm here to get you ready, spiritually speaking, right? Because if bad things happen, wouldn't it be great to know that no matter what, you're going to be all right? Because they're sealed. There's a bunch of people that are like sealed. Scorpions can't touch them. Scorpions can't hurt them. That's what my couple of videos were about. You know, the lies of the world. You can operate in this world, but not be a part of it. You know, and we can be set free from it. We can be. It's just that getting through that gate, and we have the power over that gate. That's what the scriptures say, that God gave us the power over the gates of hell, so that they will not prevail upon us, right? Get out of hell. It's time to get out of the suffering. It's time to move on to the that promised land, to inherit, to take that land back. And that may be happening in the natural as we speak. And if it is, I think it's a beautiful thing, spiritually speaking. As far as naturally speaking, I don't know. I'm not a Palestinian and I'm not an Israelite. I mean, spiritually, I'm an Israelite, right? I mean, you can even say I'm an Israelite, because I think a lot of you are. In fact, I would love to call you all Israelites, because in the scriptures, that's God's child. God's child, my son, Israel. I called my son Israel. Out of Egypt have I called them. Christ in you is the hope of glory. It's a beautiful thing, but you're never going to find that if you aren't looking, and if you aren't seeking, and you aren't finding, right? You're not going to find something unless you're looking for it. And that's what my last couple of shows were about. I explained how there are these three ways, right? The Messiah comes unaware. So the Mashiach comes unaware. That's what they believe. Something that is lost, that is found. You're just walking, all of a sudden you found, oh, look at that, I found it. I didn't know it was missing. You rejoice because you're like, oh, wow, I didn't even know it was missing. And then the other one is scorpion, right? Kind of forces you to. Scorpion, you don't know. You never know when you're going to get that, psst, you're going to put your toes into your comfy Ugg slippers, and then psst, you never know. You never know. That's why it's good to be, be prepared. It's good to love and to be kind and to seek God and to not put faith in other people. You know, put faith in the rock. Don't put the faith in. I mean, if you want to a certain extent, I'll probably always disappoint somebody, You know, which I know I have, because people send me emails and I can respond as much as I can. Then I'll get emails, oh, you know, I've sent you this and blah, blah, blah. Which is why, you know, best way to reach me, you want to reach me, I don't know, just comment. I mean, I'll see it. And if it's meant to be, it'll be, you know. All right, well, I'm getting out of here, people. I want to say goodbye to everybody in the chat. I want to thank those that actually did support in the super chat. Thank you very much again, Eastern E and Rachel. I love you all. A lot of people were watching. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing, but I really, I think it'll be a better thing if a video or two that really clicks with you, you got to tell people, check this channel out. Check it out. Because by the summer, you know, 144,000. It's like, you know, it's like 144,000. I want that, you know, and everybody, it's funny because you all got me to want that. I don't even know why. I didn't put any expectation on myself, but you all said, oh, you got to get the 144,000, Jacob. I was like, yeah, I'd like to see that. Wouldn't it be great if that happens on the same date as all this stuff transpires? That would be cool. I don't know. I love each and every one of you. I want to thank you. I hope that the show, I hope it was okay. I hope you liked it. And I hope you tell your friends. And I hope you have the best day ever. And I hope you forgive. Forgive. You hear me? Forgive. Let the stuff go. It's not worth it. Make memories that are kind and wonderful. And don't look for the fault in other people. When you're looking at the bad in other people, take a second, stop and say, I want to look for the good in them. And then see that good in them, and then embrace that thought, and then speak about that, because that's the way we change the world. We change it by loving others and loving God. Loving God first. You love God, you love others. If you love others, you love God. Problem is, not a lot of people love it. But I love you, and I will see you again shortly. So, be buckled up, okay? Someday we'll be able to take it off and enjoy the ride. I love you. Bye-bye.